I am Sunita. I'm going to be the host for this session with you. Some of you might already have attended some of my webinars, and I am the verbal head at GMAT-Viz, and I have been in this industry for almost a decade now, teaching being my passion, which I'm sure you're going to see evidence of this evening. Let me hear a hi from all of you out there. Guys, I can see so many of you there. It would be wonderful to hear from you. And although we cannot really see each other and you can just hear me, you cannot talk to me directly, I would love to interact and know you. So hi, Himanshu. Now I've got to pronounce that name. Let me see. Hello, Fan Sofa. So is that the correct way to pronounce that name? Hi, Pavan. Hello, Annie. Hi, Purva. Hello, Pratik. Hi, Gaurav. Hi, Rahman. Very, very, very nice to see all of you. And I'm sure there are a lot more of you out there waiting to see what is this tenses and timeline and stuff like that. So, Shripad, I have just wished a good day to all of you. I haven't yet started. Hi, Chandan. Hi, Ozan. Hi, Dilip. Hi, Felipe. Nice to see you here. Okay, great. So guys, let me start straight away. Let me not beat around the bush anymore. Now, most of us, I'm sure, at one point of the time or the other, are troubled by tenses as far as sentence correction is concerned, you know. Hi, Bartika. We are always confused, and especially, I'm sure, the confusion related to the perfect tenses, you know, where to place them, how to place them. Hi, Ashwin, I'm fine. Thank you. And I hope you're also safe and healthy out there. In fact, I hope all of you are keeping safe and healthy. Such are the times that we are living in. And let's take this opportunity to enhance our understanding of tenses. So hi, how do I pronounce that name? Hi, Pranya, I think. Hopefully that's the correct way to pronounce it. So guys, the word tense comes from the Latin tense, okay? In Latin, tense means stretch, okay? So think of time as an infinite stretch. And that is what we are going to use today to explain to you how, you know, the timeline works, okay, guys? So just hold on to your questions anytime if you have any doubts. I'm going to give you time to always ask about, you know, whatever doubts you have. Let me quickly delve into this without any more ado. So when we talk about time, okay, before that, when we talk about verbs, okay, and we talk about verb-like words, what differentiates a verb from a verb-like word? So let's say if you look at a word called teach and we call it a word teaching. Now, this might be very basic to some of you, but some of you may not really look at these words from this angle, which is why I'm going to begin absolutely here, okay? So if you look at these two words, you know that there is some difference here. What is the difference? So when you look at a sentence using the word teach, okay, the teachers teach in school, and simultaneously, if you look at a word teachers teaching in the school, then in both cases, teachers is the subject. And if you look at teach and teaching, they are these verb-like words, okay? Now, in this sentence, we actually, what is the information conveyed? We get to know what the teachers do as a profession, as an everyday thing. All right? They teach every day. And the word teach itself tells us the time of the action. You don't need any additional helping verb or anything else to tell you when the teachers teach. Okay? The word teach itself means every day. On the other hand, from the sentence, if you can call it a sentence, of course, the teachers teaching in the school, you don't know the time of the verb or the verb-like word teaching. If you don't know the time, if that verb-like word does not convey any time, that means your sentence has no meaning, okay? Without any helping word, the word teaching is devoid of any time or tense, and therefore it's not a complete sentence because it doesn't really have a verb, okay? So teaching without any helping verb is not a verb. On the other hand, teach is a verb, right? So the differentiating factor is what? A verb must denote a time frame, okay? This is what you've got to remember. It's an integral part of the verb. Let's move on from there. I told you I'll discuss about the timeline. So we all know about 3 time frames, all right? We all know there is something called the present, there's something called the past, and there's something called the future, something that hasn't happened yet, all right? Now, look at the following line. all right? And let's say this following line presents the time, you know, and there are these dots which I have placed on the time. Can you tell me which dot belongs to which time frame? I'll bring up some choices here, okay? And let me bring up a poll. You don't have to answer me in the chat box. Let me just bring up a poll. I hope I have a question poll somewhere tucked in. Okay, hold on. All right, I'm just going to put up a random poll here. All right. So ignore E, huh? Just imagine you have to fill in the poll for A, B, C, D, not E. So E is not there. Just imagine it's not there. Okay. And I want each of you to think which of those dots represent which time frame. Okay. Take about 10-15 seconds. I don't think it'll take you more than that. All right. So which dot do you think represents what time frame? And based on that, choose from the given options out there. Okay, I can see the polls are still moving. So I'll just give you a few seconds there, guys. And then I'm going to, and this is a very, very important learning. In fact, any OG question, you can take up any OG question, all right, and solve it using this timeline. If it is a question based on tenses, if you have any errors or any doubts related to the tenses, you can use the timeline to solve it. So just pay attention, be patient a bit. I'll give you a lot of time to ask me questions. Don't worry about that. Okay, so it seems finally the poll has stopped moving. Great, let me end the poll. Okay. So I have, now it's really a race between choice A and D, as you can see, guys. 41% of you believe the correct answer is A, and there is a small 6% that believes C is the correct answer. But majority of you, that's 51% of you, believe D is the correct answer. All right. And now let's see who's got the correct answer. And more importantly, have you got the answer right for the right reason? Okay. So let me go back to my explanation. All right. So choice A, those of you choice A, chosen choice A, you believe that these two dots, A and B, they represent the past, C is the present, D and E is the future. So my question to those of you who marked A is, why have you taken C as the present, guys? Quickly, you can answer me in the chat box. Quickly, why have you taken C as present tense? I can understand you have taken A and B past because that comes before C, and you have taken D and E as future because that comes after C. My question is, why have you taken C as the present? All right, let me see what are the answers. So Pranya says, no, sorry, Pranya, not. Rahman says C is in the middle. What about the others? Why have you taken C as the present? Okay, Evelina, hi, Evelina. Evelina also says that because C is in the middle. What about the others, guys? Come on, let's together discover whether we think correctly or we don't. And don't be shy of sharing your, confusion and your issues with me. Let's solve it together today. So thank you, Rahman and Evelina, for that answer. What about the others? 41% of you marked A as the correct answer. You must have a reason. Okay. Rahman says A and B is looking at the past and E and D. Yeah, Rahman, I understood that you took C as the middle. Okay, so that was it. Dilip also says it's in the middle. Abdul says the reference point is not known. It is subjective. So Atul, I am assuming you have not marked A as the correct answer. Rajavi, hello, says that C is in the middle. Okay, which means most of you who have chosen, I'm assuming, that's an assumption, guys, sorry for that. But so Chandan says chose D. Well, my question was to those of you who marked A. We will come to D. All right, and Chandan, good. Atul, good. Okay, but those of you who marked A, all right, I am addressing you. So understand, when you say C is in the middle, you can only decide the middle of something if you know the starting and ending, right? Do you know when time started? Do you know when time will end? Like, can you ever say 2021 is the middle? Can you say which year is going to be the middle of time? No. If you see, this timeline has arrows at the end, which means this is a line segment and it's extending both ways and we don't know till where. Therefore, which point is the middle cannot be decided. All right. You use C as a reference point. However, unless and until you can understand that reference point, you cannot decide what is the present, what is the past, what is the future, right? Okay. So the correct answer is D, none of the above. For the same reason, you can't take E as the present. Okay. Somebody has to tell you which dot to take as the present. All right. So the reference point will always be now, guys. Understand. On a timeline, okay, you have to have the reference point as now. So whenever you're trying to understand the time frame, plot a now anywhere. If the now is given in your question, plot it. If it is not given, you imagine it and plot it, and then plot all the points here and there. So something is past with reference to now. If you take and something is past perfect with reference to now, as we will discuss. Okay. So if C is the present, then A is the correct answer. If B is the present, then option B is the correct answer. If E is taken as the present, then option C is the correct answer. As it is, since we don't have any reference, D is the correct answer. Yes, guys, all of you, clear? Let me put up a poll and ask. Hold on a second, guys. This is going to just get very interesting and very soon. Yes, all clear, guys. So next time when you think of time, when you're confused with the tenses, draw a simple timeline, put a now, and see where the tenses are taking place. We're going to do that today, so don't worry. In fact, I'm going to expand a little bit on the timeline very quickly, especially for the perfect tenses. So hold on to your guns till then, guys. All right. I don't see any questions coming up. So it's very clear that all clear for you here. Let me end the poll. Wonderful. So here goes. Let's understand how the author represents various time frames. Now, if the author wants to talk about something which was over in the past, which got over in the past, finished, no relevance to the present, okay? He will use, I'm using he, sorry guys, he or she will use the simple past tense because it has nothing to do with the present. So when you say the business went through a rough patch in 2018, on the timeline, 2018 is past. Okay, that should be 2021, guys. Sorry for that. So if 2021 is now, then 2018 was in the past. And if the sentence is not conveying any connection with the present, it should be the previous event should be in the simple past. This is easy to understand, right? But we'll build on this concept, okay? If now the author wants to refer to something that is taking place now, the author usually uses the present progressive, or as you call it, present progressive tense, present continuous tense. So let's say, how do we plot it on the timeline? Okay. If you want to say the business is going through a rough patch in 2020, then all these dots belong to 2020 and the action is ongoing throughout. Okay. But notice it is talking about a specific point of time, that is 2020. Is going on does not mean 2019 also and 2021 also. No, unless and until this is 2021. So if this all turns to 2021, okay, then it is all going through in 2021. So this is what we mean by present progressive. Okay, it has got nothing to do with the past, nothing to do with the future. It is something that is ongoing, and therefore we are using the continuous. All right, then let's look at something else. If the author wants to refer to something that will take place after now, we'll use simple future tense. Okay, the business will go through a rough patch in 2021. So let's say in this case, this should be 2022, let's say, and this is 2021. Then you are basically talking about something which is going to happen after now, and it has got nothing to do with now. All right, very simple. These are very simple. If the author wants to refer to something that is always in the same time frame, that is always in the present, so simple present tense. Sun rises in the east means it has been rising in the east forever. All right. Clear, guys? Absolutely so far? Okay. Let me again ask this just so that. Yes, guys, all of this clear to you? Simple things, huh? We're going to slowly build on that, because if you do not understand the basics, you will trip over the more complicated concepts. Wonderful. Everybody's on the same page. Great. Okay. Now let's look at, so simple tenses, whether it's simple present, past, future, don't bother us much. It's only when we look at simple present and let's say present perfect. If we look at simple past and past perfect, if we look at simple future and future perfect, when we look at these two, then we start getting confused. All right. So far we've understood the simple tenses. Let's also understand the perfect tenses. Why do we need perfect tenses, guys? Okay. This is very important. Okay. GMAT grammar is totally meaning driven, and perfect tenses are required to clarify that meaning. So let us understand when and why. All right. Look at this. Suppose you have, this is the timeline. All right. We have understood this. And we have understood that we can use the timeline to denote these past, present, and future actions. Okay, so let's say if event 1 is in the past, event 2 is in the present, and event 3 is in the future. This is simple enough. Now, if event 4 also took place in the past, okay, then how do we represent it? Okay, it might, event 4 and event 1 might have taken place at the same time in the past, or event 4 might have taken place before event 1, or event 1 might have taken place before event 4. So it's not clear, right? Okay, so therefore, let me just stop this for a moment. This seems to be running away. Okay, so what should we do then if the sequence is not clear? All right, if the sequence is not clear and we need to clarify, then here's how we will do it. We will use different tenses. Sorry, this is some technical glitch. So past tense, present tense, future tense denote the timing of the earlier action in the same time frame. Then what will we use? We will use the perfect tenses. Here's how. Okay, let's assume there are two events in the past time frame. You have event 1 and event 2. Okay, so how do we denote which past event happened first? By looking at a sentence. Clearly there is a need to differentiate between them in some way, right? Since both are past events. So doing so is very simple. All we need to do is denote the earlier event, that is event 1. Okay, so we use past perfect tense to denote the event which happened earlier in the past, and the later event, that is event 2, is a simple past. Okay, so basically we are saying perfect tense if it happened before, and simple tense if it happened later, and both happened in the past. All right, this is clear. If we use perfect tense for an action, it implies that the action would have happened before the action denoted by simple tense form in that timeline. Okay, take a good look at this. Same thing in the future timeline, guys. All right, in the future also, event 1, okay, in the future also, event 1, the future perfect tense is supposed to happen before the action represented by the simple future. Clear this part, guys? Before I move on to, is this clear? Because this is where we are going to build on our concepts. So do let me know if this is clear, and I can see some questions there. So Pratik, yes, I'll give you an example. Absolutely. So let's say, let us say that a sentence says, the manufacturers, okay, found a way of making X, all right, which was similar to what was being imported by countries for some centuries, for a few centuries. Okay, yes, I will provide an example. Okay, now here, found a way to manufacture, so found is in the past. Okay, was importing is also past progressive. Were they happening at the same time? We don't know. Did one happen before the other? Most likely, because we are saying for centuries, the importing had been going on for centuries. So clearly the importing portion has to be in the past perfect. And when we talk about simple past, the found has to come later. I have an example lined up. Don't worry. Just hold on for a bit. Right now, can you understand? If I have two events in the past and I want to clarify which event happened first, then I put that event in the past perfect. I'll give you a very, very simple, not very good example, but a very simple example. Let's say, if I say that she baked a few cakes and made some orange juice. Now, you're not able to see the slide, Chandan. Others, guys, can you see the slide? I think Chandan is not able to see the slide for some reason. The others, let me just ask you guys. Hold on a second. Can all of you see the slide which is there? Can all of you see the slide, guys? So Vartika, Shraddha say yes. Himanshu, Sai, all of them. Chandan, I think then the problem is probably at your end. Just rejoin. I think you'll just rejoin, it'll get sorted. Pratik also can't see it, so it must be some kind of network, because others can see that, all right? So please rejoin. In the meantime, as I was saying, I'm just going to give you an example. Just hold on for another 1 minute, okay? All of you, I promise you, I'm going to give you the best of the examples. But for now, is it clear that past perfect is also used for a past event? Simple past is also used for a past event. Both the events happened in the past, but the first one is always in the past perfect, and the second event is in the simple past. Is this part clear, guys? Let me ask you. I am going to give an example, but so far, is it clear? Wonderful. I will reward you with examples. Don't worry at all, guys. So again, I see somebody saying, no, it's not clear. So I think I should clarify it. All right. Let's say, for example, if I have a sentence like, I picked up the children from school and baked a cake. Okay. I picked up the children from school and baked a cake. Now, what does it mean? Did I do the two things at the same time? Sounds weird. Now, how can I pick up the children and bake the cake at the same time? There must have been some sequence, but from the sentence, it's not clear whether I picked them first or I baked the cake first. Okay. So I've got to make sure this kind of ambiguity is considered incorrect on the GMAT. So I've got to show that which one of the actions I did first. Did I pick them up first or did I bake the cake first? So if I baked the cake first, I must write I had baked the cake and picked the children from the school. Okay. So we'll come back to this, guys. Yes, Ashwin, I know after a long gap, it'll seem the same. Okay, let me give you an example. All of you are asking for I have lined it up, it's there up my sleeve. So present perfect, we'll discuss slightly a few slides down the line. In the meantime, let me sum up what we've discussed right now. Okay, so for the perfect tenses, when you have two events in the past, the first earlier event, let's call it event 1, and the later event, event 2. But mind it, both happened in the past. So if you want to show which one happened first, you use the past perfect. Okay, if you want to show which one happened later, you use the simple past. Same thing you do for future. Now, why is past perfect tense needed? Let me explain with the help of examples. All of you are asking. So for the timeline, past event 1, past event 2, in order to clarify the sequence of those two events, we need past perfect, right? Here are the examples. Now, you guys tell me which of these sentences is correct. Okay, is sentence 1 correct and 2 incorrect? Is sentence 1 incorrect and 2 correct? Or are both incorrect or are both correct? Okay, so you can give me your answers in the chat box, guys. Yes, Jessica, I will do that. For future perfect, I can simply give you, let's say you want to say that tomorrow by the time you return from office, okay, by the time you return from office, something will have already taken place. So you return from office would be the simple future. What happened, what is going to happen before that? Let's say the children will have gone to sleep. That will be the future perfect. So in future, also you can have the same thing. All right, guys, waiting for your reply in the chat box. Okay, let's see. I've got answers. So Pratik says both are correct. Nawang Hai says, okay, both are correct. Pavan says both. Ashwin says both. Vartika says both. So says Dilip, Surbhi, Sudeep, Sai Chandra. Wow. All of you believe both sentences are correct, no? Sure. Okay. I Linger. Linger says first one is correct, which means Linger believes the second one is incorrect. Okay. Diksha says both. Diksha, both are correct or incorrect? Felipe, both correct or incorrect? Rahman says both are correct. Himanshu says the first one is correct. Soham says both. Okay. Rajavi says the second one is incorrect. Nishit says the first one. First one, Nishit, correct or incorrect? Pranya says both are incorrect. Purva says first correct. Shraddha says both incorrect. Felipe says correct. Okay, so Felipe meant that both are correct. Well. Ayashwan, both incorrect. Devesh says both correct. Great, guys. Thank you so much for your interaction. Now pay close attention, because this is the example that you were waiting for. Kosami says both incorrect. Hi, Zenia. Zenia says second is correct. Well, Sahil says first is correct. Chandran, both incorrect. Surbhi, first correct. Wow. Each of you hold on to your choices, because I want you to check whether you got it right or wrong. Okay, Linger. First is incorrect, she says. Arthur says both are incorrect. Well, wow. That's so nice hearing from all of you. Pay attention, guys. Okay. So, let's take the first sentence. It says, I researched about a company that went bankrupt in 2010. So both researched and went. Now let's start our discussion. Okay. We have two events in both the sentences actually. In the first sentence, you have researched and bankrupt. So we're going to look at the first sentence. Now both are in the simple present past tense, right? In fact, when the company went bankrupt, that is also given to you. That's in 2010, past tense. Now, can we tell by reading this sentence whether I researched about the company before it went bankrupt or after it went bankrupt? Can I tell that? I need to ask myself, did the two events take place at the same time? Like, did I research the company exactly at the time when it went bankrupt? If not, then which one happened first? Did I research about the company and then it went bankrupt? Does the context tell me the sequence? If not, then how do I clarify the sequence? Look at these 4 questions, guys. These are very important questions for you to ask yourself in order to decide whether you need the past perfect or not. Look at it carefully. Okay? So when you read sentence 1 and when you want to decide whether it's correct or incorrect, ask yourself, okay, researched is one verb, went is another verb. I know that the bankruptcy happened in 2010. Okay, so that's fine. When did I research the company? At the same time? Do I know that? I could have researched afterwards also. After the company went bankrupt, I could have actually done a research about it. All right, so this sentence doesn't tell me the sequence. In GMAT, if there is any ambiguity related to anything, in this case tenses, then it is an error. Okay, guys? Yes, does the example work? Guys, all of you? Yes, Pavan, the research timing isn't clear. Very good. Chandan says ambiguity. Absolutely. So those of you who said that the first sentence is incorrect, you are right. I mean, at least those of you who said the first sentence is incorrect are correct. I still don't know whether the second sentence is correct or not. So we'll wait for the verdict on that. Great. Wonderful. So I'm sorry for the delay in the example, but I hope this is now very, very clear. So when you have two events in the past and the sequence is not clear, you need to clarify that sequence. Okay. And then we use the past perfect. Now, let's see if the second one is also incorrect, and if so, why. So, have all of you noted down these 4 questions, guys? That's your takeaway, very important takeaway. Ask yourself whether the 2 events took place at the same time. If not, which one took place first? Does the sentence tell you that? In fact, I want you to use these 4 questions for the second sentence, guys. Come on, use these 4 questions for the second sentence, and let me bring up the poll. Okay, let me bring up a poll, and now again, if you want, you can revise your opinion on the second question. Wait, let me bring up a poll of 2 questions. Oh, why don't I have it? Okay, yeah. So, wait, let me bring up this poll only. Those of you who believe the second sentence is correct, okay, mark a no. Sorry, yes. Those of you believe it's incorrect, mark no. So those of you who believe the second one is correct, second sentence is correct, mark yes. Okay. Second sentence correct, mark yes. Second sentence incorrect. This is all about second sentence, mark no. Ask these 4 questions. Come on, quickly. Ask these 4 questions. Did the 2 things take place at the same time? Probably not, right? Probably not. So if it did not, which one took place first? Can I tell? Does the context tell me which one happened first? Yes. Unless and until a company is incorporated, can I research about it? Can I research about something that doesn't even exist? So the context is telling me that the incorporation happened in 2001, and I could have researched about the company only after that. So if I use a past perfect in this sentence, it would be incorrect. So statement 2 is correct, guys. Statement 2 is incorrect. Very good, Sudeep. Sudeep says that the bankruptcy happened on no, Sudeep, not for question 1. Bankruptcy happened in 2010, yes, but research happened now. It's not about now, Sudeep. Research is simple past. So research also happened in the past, but when? Before 2010, on 2010, or after 2010? 2010 is only giving me the time of bankruptcy. Is it telling me about the research? Ask yourself that. All right. So guys, question number, sentence 2. Let's look at that. Okay, statement 2. So if I look at statement 1, first, let me clarify this once again. Research could have taken place before or after the company went bankrupt in 2010, right? So 2010 is only about bankrupt, not about researched. Correct version. If I had researched the company before it went bankrupt, I will use past perfect with this to show that this is event 1 and this is event 2. But if I want to show that I researched later and the company went bankrupt earlier, then I will use, so this becomes event 1, this becomes event 2. It all depends on what I want to show. Okay. Now, if I look at the second sentence, I researched about a company that was incorporated in 2001. So as I said, you cannot research a company unless and until it is incorporated. So the context itself is telling you incorporation happened first. Okay. The context is telling me that first it was incorporated, then only I researched. So by the context itself, I know this is event 1, this is event 2. I don't need any. In fact, a very important learning here in sentence 2, if you use had researched or had been incorporated, it would have been incorrect. I want to bring up a question related to this, but guys, all of you who were confused, is it clear to all of you how to use the past perfect? Thank you, Karan. Was incorporated is passive. Yes, Rahman. Please, Rahman, one request. Don't think that, what you read on GMAT Club, that GMAT does not prefer passive voice and all that. All that is absolutely, don't take it as a rule or anything, okay? You're welcome, Surbhi, Karan. So, Rajavi, incorporation by itself means it happened in, incorporation happened in the past, right? 2001. Now, research cannot happen unless and until you incorporate something. So, even if you don't write had researched, research itself tells you that you did the research after the incorporation. So, in such cases, if you use had, GMAT considers it incorrect, okay? Sajal, is it clear now? Sajal, Rajavi. Great, Rahman. Good, thank you. Thank you so much. Kaushambi, the second example, is it clear to you now? Incorporated means brought into existence, Arthur, okay? Incorporation is like saying it was brought into existence. Wonderful, Rajavi, Sajal, you've got it. Very nice. So, Nawang, in sentence 1, you can write it in 2 ways. If you want to show that you researched before 2010, then you use had with researched. If you don't want to show that that happened first, if you want to show that it happened after the company had gone bankrupt, then you use had with gone bankrupt, okay? Yes, Sajal, had will always be the first event. Yeah, Namang, that is why I've given you 2 versions. This is just to explain. In the exam, you won't have 2 versions, don't worry. Okay? In the exam, you will only have 1 correct version. All right. This is just an example to show you how a sentence should be questioned for the perfect tenses, past perfect tense especially. Yes, guys, all clear? Let me ask about the poll once again, because this is a very important learning. Hold on a second. Yes, guys, all clear? Is it clear to all of you? Nawang? Sentence 1 is incorrect, Nawang. Nawang. Sentence 1, okay, let me just explain to Nawang. Well, Rahman, thank you so much. My God. Rahman, can I hope it's fine if I share your comment with the others. Rahman says that he is complimenting me. He's saying, you have taught SC in a way no others could. And he's saying that he has gone through TTP and Magush, and then he's saying this, wow, Rahman, you've made my day. Not that you're praising me or something, but I'm so glad it's helping you. I'm really, really, really so glad that it's helping you. Okay. Now, Kaushambi and Nawang, let me quickly clear your doubts. All right. Okay. So just let me look at the other. Okay, Rahman, thank you. Rahman is a professor in Toronto. All right, Rahman. No issues. Let me quickly explain this, huh? Okay, watch. Now, Nawang, see, if you look at the first sentence, okay, look at this sentence. Went bankrupt in 2010. So I know when this happened, correct? I have no confusion when this happened. Now, researched is ED, if you see, this is past tense. This is simple past. Okay, this is simple past. This is also simple past, right? Okay. Now, the problem is the second, the bankrupt is simple past is correct because I have the time marker. But for researched, I don't have any time marker. And I need to understand, did I do the research also in 2010? It is possible. Okay. But in GMAT, I can't have a confused or ambiguous state like this. Okay. So for that matter, I need to know, did I research the company before it went bankrupt? That means before 2010. We can do the research anytime, na? Even after something is not in existence, we can always go to the archives, found out about it and research it, right? Okay. I mean, today the old Stone Age is no more. Okay. Early man is no more, but I can always research about that. So here, did the research happen in 2010, before 2010 or after 2010? We don't know. Okay. Notice it could have taken place before or after the company went bankrupt. So this sentence is incorrect. It has to be rectified. The sequence has to be set. You can either correct it by saying that you researched before the company went bankrupt. In that case, use the past perfect with event 1 and leave event 2 in simple past. I hope this makes things clearer for the first sentence. On the other hand, if you want to show that the bankruptcy happened first, then use past perfect with the bankruptcy. With respect to that, this becomes the second event and this remains in the simple past. So the first event in the past is always past perfect. The second event in the past is always simple past. Now, clear why the first sentence is incorrect? So, Pawan, this is correct what you're saying. I researched about a drug that was launched in 2010. Unless and until it is launched, you can't research now. So you could not have researched it before 2010. So this is correct. Event 1, sentence 1 is correct. Sentence 1 is not, okay, you're talking about the correct version now. Let me mark it here. This is incorrect. And these two are both correct, depending on what you want to say. Sentence 1 is incorrect. Nawang, is it clear? Great. Okay. I think that's all clear to all of you. I think this time I'm going to get 100% on the polls. Please, 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 guys. Yes, is all this clear to you? Past perfect. Can we move to the question? Wonderful. So I have a question coming up for you, an official question. Use this method, this understanding to solve that. And I'm looking forward to seeing 100% correct result. All right, guys. So let me bring up that question. It's not very difficult. Here's the question, guys. Go ahead. I'm going to give you 1.5 minutes. That's a very simple read. All right, guys. Your time is almost up. And I want you to finish putting in the polls. So, Rajavi, this will never happen, okay? You never get 2 correct options on GMAT, so don't worry. I brought up the example because I want you to have a very clear picture of the flexibility that sentence correction offers, okay? So, Nawang, mark it in the poll. If you cannot for some reason see the poll, then I'll keep that in mind. But no, it's not. It's not, Nawang. Yes, guys, your poll. So let me just quickly do a countdown and make sure you fill in your polls. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, I'm going to end the poll, guys. So, haha, I am not going to let the cat out of the bag so easily. Chandan, Pavan, wait for this suspense to be dissipated little by little. Sahil, Chandan, Pavan, okay. Anubhav, I know, yes, that's the correct confusion, but let's see how we can sort that confusion. Okay, so all of you give me 2 minutes to explain this. All right, listen carefully, okay, because if you don't, you'll miss the point. Here goes my explanation. So let's see. I am going to use the approach that we teach at GMAT Quiz, and that's a 3-step approach. The first thing that we do is analyze the original sentence. Maximum time we spend here. All right, here goes. Some building. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, at least one. That's what some implies to me. Some building. So there is at least one building that were destroyed. Okay, since here we are saying were, so I'm assuming more than one, but I don't know how many. So we are talking about some buildings that were destroyed. Now this that were destroyed is a relative pronoun clause. Okay, fine. And it is referring to what? These buildings. Okay, so we are saying some buildings were destroyed. This is simple past. Since we are on the tenses, so I'm writing this. Otherwise, and heavily damaged, and is connector. Heavily damaged. Damaged is also in the simple past. I've got two events. But wait a minute. If they were destroyed, then they can't have been damaged at the same time. I mean, either you are completely destroyed, then you're automatically damaged. So we don't say separately damaged. And if you are only heavily damaged, you can't be destroyed. So this and is wrong. Okay. Ideally, I think it should be one or the other, something like that. All right. So what we're trying to say is there were some buildings and they were destroyed or heavily damaged. Okay. This whole thing is a modifier for some buildings. So I don't have any verb or anything for some buildings. Okay. In the earthquake last year. So in the earthquake last year is a prepositional phrase. And what is the function of this here? It's telling me when these buildings were destroyed and heavily damaged. So my modifier actually doesn't end here. It ends here, from here till here. Okay. In the earthquake last year is telling me when these buildings were destroyed. And that also makes sense. Last year means I should use simple present. Great. So at least the past, simple past tense is correct. Fine. Were constructed. Now, were constructed, this is also in the simple past. Okay. And because I've got a modifier in between, I need to ask myself, what is the subject of this were constructed? What were constructed? Clearly, the answer that I get is some buildings. Okay. So some buildings were constructed. This is the subject. This is the verb. Subject and verb agree in number as well as in logic. Now I need to check whether the tense is correct or not. I'm a little confused here. They were constructed in violation of the city's building code. So these buildings were constructed without adhering to the city's building code. They broke the code and then these buildings were constructed. My problem is I have, let's say, verbs at two levels. Destroyed and damaged were constructed. Did the whole thing happen last year? Or same problem of your researched and went bankrupt. Okay. I know that the buildings were destroyed last year, but were they constructed last year itself? Or were they constructed after last year? Or were they constructed before last year? I mean, see, think about it like this. It is possible that, reconstruction happened. I mean, some buildings were destroyed, okay, that were destroyed. Let's say we are talking about last year, 2020. Let's say 2020 in January, some buildings were destroyed by the earthquake. And in January, in let's say December 2020, these buildings were constructed. New buildings were constructed in that place. Lots of possibilities here. So I'm not really very happy. Okay, I'm thinking like this, that maybe we are talking about, the buildings were constructed before last year. In that sense, I should use had been constructed. Okay, and maybe because these buildings were constructed in violation of the city's code, maybe that is why some of these buildings were destroyed or heavily damaged. So I'm thinking of those possibilities. All right, I'm going to keep a very open mind on this. So some buildings were either destroyed or heavily damaged in the earthquake last year. All right. And earlier, that is before last year, when these buildings were constructed, they were constructed in violation of the city's building code. So they were constructed, or in this case, as I'm proposing, they had been constructed. Okay. To give me more clarity. So I'm keeping an open mind here. Here, because I've added before last year, I kept simple past. Guys, so far, are we clear? Absolutely. I know, Chandan, that that it's only after construction that the destruction will happen, which is why I'm looking forward to kind of a sentence which gives me a little bit of better clarity. However, this sentence is anyways incorrect because of that and thing. All right. So if I don't have any sentence which rectifies this were constructed, damaged, were constructed, and only rectifies the destroyed and damaged, I'm happy with that. All right. Okay. Yes, Anushka, I do agree with that, but there is a little bit of, an inkling of an idea. And you will see that how GMAT will not leave you in any confusion. So Arthur, that much of deep knowledge nobody would be expected to really go that deep. All right, that sole proprietorship can be changed. If it can be changed, then I'm only talking about the incorporated portion and not what it existed before that. All right, so that is why. Okay, let's look at this particular question and resolve all our doubts. Well, that's the whole thing. I don't know, Rahman. Did both things happen last year? We don't know, which is why I want clarity. All right, understand the issue is clarity. Okay, so let's say that A is incorrect definitely because of this. Okay, definitely, and perhaps also because of this. I want clarity on this. So anyways, now that A is definitely incorrect, we'll go to B. B says some buildings, okay, fine, that were destroyed, or heavily damaged in the earthquake last year had been constructed, if I'm saying. So this clearly tells me constructed, this happened before last year and not just last year. So B actually gives me clarity, right? A was incorrect because of that and definitely. And when I look at B, I understand that GMAT wants me to consider this as correct, and that is why the and error was pushed into A as well. So I'm going to hold on to B, which is actually the correct answer. All right. C. And let me see. How many of you chose B? Let me quickly pop back. Rajavi, if you cannot hear me, I think you'll have to just rejoin. Wait, let me answer to Rajavi. She can't hear me. Hold on a second, guys. Okay, that's done. All right. I hope she can see that. So if I look at the polls, 50% of you marked B. Wonderful. 10% of you marked A. I hope you realize your mistake. So guys, one small question here. Did the discussion that we had on that research and bankrupt question, did that help you answer this question better? Did our understanding of the past perfect help you understand this question better? Wow, that's so nice to see. Let's quickly rule out the other choices using proper reasoning. Some buildings, okay, that were destroyed, and again the and is there, heavily damaged in the earthquake last year, have been constructed. Now here the meaning changes a bit. Okay, those buildings have been constructed in violation of the city's building code implies that these buildings were constructed sometime in the past and they are still there. But then if they are still there, then how were they damaged or destroyed last year? Okay, so a lot of confusion here as to what happened when. However, you might argue that maybe these buildings have been constructed after the destruction, which means after the destruction last year in the past, or between last year and this year, that is also past and they still exist. Okay, a lot of confusion there. However, the and is incorrect, so this is definitely incorrect. D, last year. Okay, so now last year has been brought forward, and I am always going to be very careful whenever there is a change in positioning of anything. Yeah, this says last year, okay, the earthquake destroyed or heavily damaged some buildings. Okay, so far so good, no change in meaning. That have been constructed. Now this is a problem. Last year it was destroyed, and then if you want to say have been constructed, when? Okay, this means some buildings that have been constructed, those buildings were destroyed last year. Doesn't make sense. This means this was done before, but I can't use present perfect if it was done before. So D is out. Last year, some of the buildings that were destroyed or heavily damaged in the earthquake. So we are saying this is my subject. Some of the buildings is my subject that were destroyed or heavily damaged in the earthquake. This is my modifier. Okay. Had been constructed. So you are basically saying last year some buildings had been constructed. This is what you're saying. You're not saying last year the earthquake took place. See, last year is placed right at the beginning of the sentence. That means it is going to modify the main verb. Last year, some of the buildings had been constructed in violation. So if they were if you're saying last year, then you cannot use had been. All right, you cannot use past perfect with a specific time marker. So E is out. We'll come to this, but guys, all of you, let me end the poll and ask you, are you clear with this explanation? Forget about what you chose if you have forgotten. Dilip, don't worry. Okay, I can't see individually who has chosen what, Dilip, so don't worry. But I hope you have been able to understand why a sentence is incorrect. Great, Anubhav, very good. You're welcome, Pratik. So glad that helped. What is the major difference between B and E? So if you look at E, it's saying last year some buildings had been constructed. Whenever we use a particular time marker, like last year, 2010, we do not use a past perfect with that, Nawang. It is taught in the course also, okay? Today we cannot teach I can't teach you everything on the tenses. The concentration today will be on perfect tenses. We will discuss present perfect also. Okay, Nawang? Divya wants D. Okay, Divya, just give me a moment. See, look at this, Divya. If you're saying last year the earthquake destroyed or heavily damaged some buildings, okay? So you're telling us that the buildings were damaged last year that have been constructed. So these buildings have been constructed. You cannot damage them without the buildings existing. That is one thing that we already know. This sentence seems to tell us that the construction took place after last year and before this year, somewhere in between. Not clear, doesn't make sense. Again, I'm saying clarity. And B tells you very clearly that they were constructed first, then they were damaged. Therefore, all are incorrect. Now, how to read a sentence in order to understand the intended meaning? If you see, there's a particular way I was reading the sentences. Sajal, main verb of a sentence is the verb which is not in the modifiers. So, relative pronoun clause verbs are never the main verbs of a sentence. If I say, last year, some buildings had been constructed is the main verb. That were damaged or destroyed is the modifier verb. So the modifier verb is not the main verb. Okay, guys, clear on this? So as I said, Rahman, it won't have two versions. Don't worry. Don't worry, okay? So I'm glad that this was clarified to you. So guys, you would have noticed that I read my sentence in a certain way, breaking it in certain places, all right? So how does one know where to break and what to do, what kind of questions to ask? So this is something that we at GMAT teach, all right, very thoroughly. Here we don't just tell you, okay, this is the rule and learn it up and this is the exception. Behind every concept, there is a logic and that is explained so that you remember. Like I explained timeline here. We tell you how to contextualize. We tell you where to stop. You know, the checkpoints that where you should break your sentence, the kind of questions you should ask, what's the role played by this sentence here, and you know how you relate back one segment to the other. That's what we've been doing in just now, the analysis that I showed you. You know, where is the placement of last year, what does it refer to, which part is a modifier, what is it modifying, which is the main verb, what is it, where is the subject. All right, so we teach you how to contextualize. We teach you the role of the connectors, all right? You know, what it connects, and that is how you can connect your sentence. So here, there is that modifier in between. Last year is giving you the time of the modifier, you know, the content of the modifier, not about when the building had been constructed. So all these things help you to read the sentence properly, because that's the first rule. If you want to be able to spot the error, you must first be able to understand what the sentence is conveying. And in order to understand what the sentence is conveying, you must be able to read the sentence correctly. A lot of institutes tell you meaning-based approach, but nobody really shows how to do it. Okay, guys, here's another question for you. All the best. This is an in-house question, all right? And using the understanding of the past perfect tense, I want you to solve this question, guys. There are some small minor errors related to other concepts also, but primarily it's about the tenses. I'm telling you that also. Go ahead. 3, 2, and 1. Okay. I'm going to end the poll, guys, all right? Well, 10% of you believe A is the correct answer. That means the sentence is correct as is. 5% of you believe it's B. 2% of you believe it's C. 58% of you believe it's D. And 23% of you believe it's C. And once again, guys, your take on the question and whether the technique that we discussed helped you to answer this question better. You can answer me in the chat box, guys. Vartika, I hope you can hear me now. Hi, Mansha. The webinar started at 8:30 and we should be able to end it by 9:30. Okay? I will let you have your dinner on time. Don't worry. Okay, thank you so much, Sudeep. Sudeep, Vartika, great Sai. Thank you, Himanshu. Wow, this is good. Thank you, Rahman and Sai also. Wonderful. So let's now, as you might have guessed, and I'm so happy, guys, that 58% of you did get this right. You know, the answer is D. However, why the others are incorrect and why the answer is D, we'll quickly look at that, and then we're going to discuss the perfect tenses, which is another very big pain point, you know. So you're welcome, all of you. All right. Wonderful. Thank you, Rajavi. Thank you, Mansha. Let me now get into explaining this. Where is my PPT? Yeah. So I'll start off. More than 130,000 Arabs. Okay, we're talking about a huge number of Arabs. Okay, had immigrated. Now, the moment I read this sentence, you know, I'm going to focus on this. Let me just remove this. When I read had immigrated to the US, I immediately tell myself, I mark off, okay, here I have a past perfect. All right. So I'm going to keep in mind that I have a past perfect here, which means I should have a simple past event to justify the usage of past perfect, correct? Either that, or I should have a context that tells me, either tells me that the past perfect is not required or tells me that the past perfect is required. So I'm going to just keep that in mind because right now I don't know whether it's correct or not. So concentrate on the process, guys. Those of you who got it right. Okay. See if you also solved it like this. Those of you who did not get it right, also see where you went wrong. Because the learning is always that. The learning is not whether you got the question right or wrong. The learning is, did you get it right for the right reasons? Why did you get it wrong? Okay. Let's move on. So these Arabs had immigrated to the US as part of the Great Migration. Okay. So this phrase here is telling me, giving me more information about the verb. So this basically is a modifier of the verb. It's telling me more about this immigrated. Okay, some great migration must have been going on, and these Arabs migrated as a part of that. And lived and worked. So you see, there's a comma there, which means the and is a connector. All right, lived and worked together. This is in simple past. Sorry, guys, just hold on a second. Just give me a moment. Yeah. Lived and worked is in simple past. Okay. And I stop here and I ask myself, this is in simple past, lived and worked. All right. Who lived and worked? The Arabs. So this is the subject here. And I have verb 1. And this is, let me count it as verb 2, although we have 2 verbs here. Okay. Now I'm asking myself, clearly they must have immigrated first and then only they could have lived and worked. So do I need this past perfect? Isn't the context telling me that they immigrate, they can only immigrate first and then only live and work? So here had immigrated is not required. That's the first error. Okay. So I'm just going to put that down here quickly. The use of the past perfect had immigrated is not correct. Why not? Why not correct? Arabs could not have lived and worked, which is both in the simple past, in the US even before they immigrated. So it's understood that they immigrated first, right? The context sets the sequence. So using the past perfect to indicate the sequence is incorrect. This is very, very important, guys. Very, very important learning. All right, here. That if the sequence is clarified by the context, we do not use the past perfect to again clarify the sequence. Okay, that's incorrect. Let's read on. Fighting its many wars. Now I have a comma plus ing here, a comma plus ing. And we know a comma plus ing modifies the nearest verb. So nearest verb group is lived and worked. All right, who lived and worked? Arabs lived and worked across US, fighting its many wars. Who were fighting? Arabs. So this comma plus ing agrees with the verb and also modifies the verb, tells us what they were doing while they lived and worked in the US. Fighting its many wars and engaged. Now there is a problem here. There is no comma separating and engaged to tell us that engaged is a verb performed by Arabs. It's more like fighting and engaging. Remember, engaged cannot modify a verb. It's an ed verbal. Ed verbals cannot modify verbs. They can only modify nouns. Okay? And there is a confusion here whether this engaged is a verb or not, or is it a verbal? Seems more like a verbal because there is an absence of comma there before and, which could have separated it as a separate clause. So fighting its many wars and engaging is more likely what we want to say here. These were the two things that the Arabs were doing while they lived and worked across the breadth of US. All right. So the intended meaning that I can draw is more than so many Arabs immigrated to the US. Okay. They lived and worked throughout the US, obviously, after they immigrated. They cannot have done that before that. While they lived and worked, they also fought the wars and engaged in transformative debates. This fought and engaged has been converted here as fighting and probably should have been engaging also. All right. That's the meaning. Let's look at A. So A is incorrect because of had immigrated, because of engaged. All right. So those of you who marked A, I hope you're clear on this. I don't need the past perfect had immigrated. Okay. Is eliminated. Let's look at B. Arabs immigrated to the US, so this is correct. And had lived and worked. So that means they lived and worked even before they emigrated. Wrong. Fighting its many was okay. As part of the Great Migration, now this changes the meaning altogether, guys. They immigrated as a part of the Great Migration. They did not fight the wars as part of the Great Migration. Although engaging has been rectified here. So B is out. B is out. Did anybody mark B? I don't think so. I might have. So Anushka, a modifier in simple grammatical language are the adjectives and adverbs in the sentence. Okay. So a noun modifier is what you call the adjective, and a verb modifier is what you call the adverb. All right. So in all, a modifier is any word or words which give us more information about either the noun or the verb. Yes, Sudeep, had immigrated is totally redundant. I will, Rajavi and everybody else, I will share a PDF of this at the end of the session. Definitely, I will do that. All right. Okay, great. Let me, so I think I was just going to check on B now. 5% of you marked B. So B is incorrect out there. Let me quickly go to C. Arabs immigrated to the US. Fine. This is fine. And lived and worked. Okay. Now this means immigrated and lived and worked happened at the same time, which is a little weird. Even if I do accept that, look at this displacement of as part of the Great Migration. It's like saying they lived and worked as part of the Great Migration. Now, that is not the intended meaning. Even if I accept that, let's say, immigrated and lived and worked, we're talking about the same year. Let's say, if you're doing that also, as part of the Great Migration is definitely giving a different meaning to this sentence. Okay, so C is out. D is the correct answer. Sorry, D is not the correct answer, guys. I think E was the correct answer. I'm so sorry, guys. I think all of you got that wrong. Or I think I might have put it upside down. Guys, D is not correct because D also has the same error. Did I give you the same in the original question? Just hold on a moment. I think, let me just check up on that. Huh? One moment. If you give me a moment here. The original sentence, yeah, D is not correct, guys. So my bad. For those of you who marked D, I think, yeah, E is the correct answer. I'm so sorry, guys, for that confusion. So 58% of you who marked this, just listen to this carefully. Arabs had immigrated. I thought that in D we had immigrated only, but it seems not. So had immigrated is still incorrect. And lived and worked is fine. Fighting and engaging is corrected, but had immigrated is redundant. So Sudeep, so sorry for that. I thought that you were referring to D. I had somehow the impression that D had immigrated. Well, E is the correct answer. So here you will see immigrated is in the simple past. Makes sense. Okay, they immigrated first and then only they could have lived and worked. So I don't need any past perfect to set the sequence. Fighting and engaging is also online, and therefore this is correct. So guys, I hope this is clear. I'm so sorry, Chandan. I'm so sorry. I'm really, really, really sorry. I think COVID has kind of affected my brain or something, because I had this feeling that D had the, immigrated. So I hope this is now clear to all of you. Yeah, I'll show all the options also. Give me a moment. Even I am like, have I given these guys the correct option? Hopefully I have. Let's go back to the original slide. And we will, here it is. Yeah, so D is incorrect. The had immigrated. This is incorrect. This is incorrect here. This is also incorrect here. This was correct. This part was correct. This part was correct. Then again, we had lived and worked here, which is out. In C, there was a change in the placement of as the Great Migration, which changed the meaning, kind of. And there's still the question mark on whether lived and worked and immigrated happened at the same time. Then in D, rest of it is correct, but had immigrated is wrong. So A is out, B is out, C is out, D is out, it's E. Clear, guys? I hope you have forgiven me for that blunder. So Anubhav, it should not be had immigrated. See, understand. If you do not immigrate to a country, how can you live and work there? The meaning of the sentence is, these Arabs became an integral part of the US to the extent that they were fighting the wars and engaging in the debates as well. All right. So this could have happened only after the immigration. Ola Bisi, hi, very nice to see you. Late today though. So Ola Bisi, you're a little late in the day. The thing is, had immigrated is incorrect because we already know that immigration happened first. Had immigrated is used to indicate which event takes place first. Here we don't need to use that because it is understood. So Anubhav, revisit those examples and solve it in the context of this understanding. All right. If the context is telling you very clearly that something happened before some other event, then you don't need to clarify the event by using past perfect. Okay. So do mail me at least one or two of those questions. Let's sort that out. I'm very, very sure of this. Okay. So Olabisi, I hope it is clear. Yes, Rahman, if it is clear from the context which event was happened first, then it's fine. All right. Sometimes we also use clarifying words like before and after. You can use had immigrated if you were using before and after, but here you don't need to use anything because immigrated has to happen first before lived and worked. There are some contexts where you can use before, after, and you can use past perfect. So maybe Anubhav, you're confused with that. Thank you, Chandan, so much. Sajal, is it clear why had immigrated will not be possible? So let me ask this question to all of you guys. 23% of you got that right. Is it clear why had immigrated is incorrect? Because the context tells me you have to immigrate first. All right, again, I've got a mixed answer. Let me ask you. Let me ask you the question, then I'll reset the poll. The question is, have you understood why had immigrated is wrong in B and A? Have you understood that, guys? Why had immigrated is incorrect? So before and after with past perfect, let's say for example, let's say in the question that sentence that I gave you, I researched. Okay, so over there you can say I had researched about the company before it went bankrupt in 2010. So you can use before there apart from using had researched. All right, that's okay. Okay, Rahma, let me see your example. Since Newton is way ahead in time than Stephen. Okay, wait 1 second. Newton occupied the same position as Stephen Hawking in Cambridge. So this tells me that the position occupied was the same. Doesn't tell me whether both of them were working at the same time. If you want to show that they were working at the same, this seems to imply they were working at the same time, but it's quite possible that Stephen Hawking, Newton was there earlier. Okay, so you have to show that you should have actually written that Stephen Hawking occupied the same position as Newton had done in Cambridge, ideally. Okay. I hope that answers the question. All right, guys. So I've got 94% of you have understood. If there are any questions, 5% of you saying no, please ask me in the chat right away. All right, right away, please ask me if you haven't understood anything. Karan, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for that. Okay. Sahil has asked for a repeat. Now, Sahil, I don't know if you followed the researched and incorporated example. See, I'll give all of you guys an example, okay? Let me type a sentence and send you. Wait, just give me one moment. If I say I studied in a school, okay, that was built during the war, let's say, okay? Now, look at that sentence, all of you. I studied in a school that was built during the war. Can I study in a school even before it is built? All of you. Let me ask you this question, yes or no. Can I study in a school if it hasn't even been built? Yes? No, I can't, right? Good, good. So, because I cannot have studied in a school even before it was built, the context itself tells me that was built must have happened before I studied, correct? Similarly, immigrating to a country means moving from my country to another to stay there, to make my life there. If I don't immigrate, how can I live and work there as a citizen of that country? So this sentence by itself is telling me that I must have immigrated before I lived and worked there. So I don't need had immigrated. GMAT considers such an addition where it is not needed as incorrect. If I now write in this sentence, I had studied in a school, it's incorrect, guys. Or if I say I studied in a school that had been built, it's incorrect. Well, Rahman, I am Newton could be anybody, huh? Not just Isaac Newton. What if I have something like, what's that guy's name? Sheldon Newton. I don't know which Newton I'm talking about, right? So that's the way I solve it. Always meaning based. Yes, guys, your answers. Is it clear now? Let me reset and ask you. Is it clear now why had immigrated is incorrect? Is it clear why had immigrated is incorrect, guys? I hope the parallel helps you. Oh, wonderful. I'm so happy all of you have understood. Okay, Sahil, you're most welcome. So let's now get into the present perfect tense, another area which confuses us a lot. I'm going to go into a little bit of teaching here very, very quickly, because without that, it won't help us understand the usage. So let me quickly get into this. Now, read this all we have finished. So let me cross this. Okay, great. Present perfect tense. Now, present perfect tense is used to denote events that have happened before simple present ones, right? This we know. It is used to communicate recent past events. All right. Now, when we say recent past events, it means either that event which started in the past is still continuing in the present, or we are saying that an event took place in the past, it's over, but its effect is still there in the present timeline. That is how we use a present perfect tense. So if this is a timeline, then present perfect would be the earlier event than the present one. So if event 2 is the present event, then the one that happened in the past but has an impact in the present or is still continuing in the present will be present perfect. Let's look at it with the help of some examples, guys. Okay, so first we will take up the example where we will show that events that happened in the past and are still continuing in the present. Okay, let's see. Stephanie and Murray have been good friends since 2015. So they became friends in 2015. That means the event started in the past. From then till now, they are still going good friends. So the event is still continuing now, and therefore we use have been. Okay. Similarly, police department has received 5 similar homicide cases within last 10 days. All right. So the start of that receiving the homicide case happened within the last 10 days, and they are still receiving. So that is what it means. Started in the past, continues till the moment. Stephanie has worked as a maths teacher for 6 months. That means she started working 6 months ago and is still working there as a maths teacher. Right? So guys, first and foremost, is this clear? Present perfect. Chandan, I'll try to wrap it up by in another half an hour. I know all of you are hungry. Please get your food plates and sit and eat if you want to. I'm okay with that. No issues. All right. Guys, is this part clear to you? Present perfect. Let me just reset the poll. Great. Okay. So as I said, there are 2 ways in which we can connect, we can understand present perfect. One is event started in the past, still continuing, still taking place, still existing. Okay. Now the next one. We are talking about the timeline. So let T be the time at present. When you say since last 5 years, the word, because of the word since, okay, on the timeline, the 5 years includes now. Within last 10 days means includes today. For 6 months includes now. All right. So an event with a timeline starting in the past and continuing till now, you use present perfect tense. So phrases such as since, within, for, in less than, these kind of phrases basically tell you that it's still continuing. Okay. So you can use these as markers for present perfect. Since, within, for, all right. Because it includes now. Last 10 days includes today. Last 5 years includes today. 6 months, for 6 months includes today. Now we're going to talk about events which are over, but the effect is still there. Okay. Example, I have had my dinner. Now here, I have had my dinner, had is basically the verb. It conveys that even though I had my dinner, I'm feeling full at present. So the effect is still there. Alex has started his job at Google. It means what? It means that, you know, it conveys that he started his job recently and it's still a fresh aspect. The effect is still there. I have finished baking the cake for the party means that the action of baking is complete. Its effect is there, means the cake has not been cut yet. It still exists. All right. So event which is over, finished in the past, but the effect is still there. You go to somebody's house, they ask you, na, have you eaten? And you say, if you're too shy, you will say, yes, I have, thank you. What does that mean? You were standing outside the door and eating? No. You must have had food at your home or wherever you started, maybe in the morning also. But when you say I have, you are basically saying my stomach is full now. So understand that. So present perfect can be used to denote something that started in the past and is still continuing, or something that finished in the past, but the effect of that thing is still present. Clear, guys? Stephanie has been working as a teacher in the school since 6 months. Absolutely, Lingar, correct. Okay, great. It seems you have understood. Let me quickly continue. We want to get to the question also, but definitely we want to have clarification on this. So simple past versus present perfect is where most of us get confused. Okay. You cannot use present perfect if a particular time marker is given. All right. What does that mean? Present perfect tense is basically, if you look at it, we're talking about with reference to us, with something that has happened, something that happened in the past but is connected to the present. Specific time marker is a specified time in the past. So if you're looking at the past timeline, what does it mean? See, Michael saw The Prestige, a Christopher Nolan classic, twice last year. So last year is a specific time. And for that, we will use the simple present tense. Now compare the second sentence. Michael has seen The Prestige twice. This is also fine because we're not telling when Michael saw The Prestige. It simply means he has seen it, he still remembers it. So both these sentences are correct. Okay, you are using simple past with a simple past marker. You are using present perfect because no time marker is there. It means he finished seeing the movie and the effect of the movie must be still there. All right. So this is happening in the specified time. Okay. And this is happening at an unspecified time, but we know the effect is still present and therefore we are using it. Now see. Okay. This is what? No specific time, therefore we use the present perfect tense. So understand this, if a particular time marker is given, specific time is given, you use simple past tense, you don't use present perfect. I'll show you what will happen if you interchange. And if no specific time is given, then always use the present perfect. Don't use the simple past. Okay, that would be incorrect. How? Let's see. Okay, Michael saw The Prestige, and if I remove last year, okay, this is incorrect. Michael has seen the movie twice last year, also incorrect. Because you're already saying when in last year, right? Simple past tense without specific time is incorrect. Similarly, using present perfect with specific time last year is also incorrect. Sorry, guys. This is the specific time. If you use present perfect with specific time, incorrect. No particular time given. Simple past without time, incorrect. Yes, clear so far, guys? Yes, Rahman. Present perfect talks about a time span starting in the past, continuing to in the present. So guys, let me ask you, so far, are you clear with all of this? Wonderful. Let's move ahead. So why is using present perfect with last year considered incorrect? Very simple. Last year does not include now. It means 365 days before today. Today is what? 21st of May 2021. So last year includes till till yesterday. But okay. So see the diagram here. If today is now, then last year ends yesterday, 12 o'clock. All right. So present perfect tense cannot be used for this last year. But the moment you say in the last year, look at the addition of that word in. It includes today. Look at what happens to the diagram. In the last year means including now, at this very moment. So if you have a last year and in the last year, see the difference. So last year is simple past, done, over, finished, nothing to do with today. In the last year, still connected to today. Okay? So we use the present perfect tense. Look at the example that we had earlier. Michael has seen twice last year. Last year ended till yesterday. So why am I saying has seen if it has got nothing to do with today? Michael has seen twice? Yes. In the last year? Absolutely. It means it's including today. The year is including today. If you look at a segment of an official question. Performed, simple past, last year. Okay? This is correct. It's a segment of an official question where we are saying the pianist and composer performed something, something, something last year. So we use simple past if a particular time marker is given. Again, this is taught in the course very, very explicitly in more detail. Here's a very simple question, and I want to bring on a more difficult question. So quickly solve this, guys. Do I have any queries? Okay, Karan, I'll address your query. Let me, Karan and Rajavi. Vartika, which part do you want me to repeat? Let me just, guys, give me a moment, I think. So, Vartika and Rajavi and Karan. Let me answer your question first, Karan, okay? In general, grammar, if you use a simple past without a time marker, it's not considered incorrect. If you say, I saw a movie, Ren and Martin would tell you it's correct. Your grammar books would tell you it's correct. But GMAT does not consider that correct because I saw a movie is actually not conveying any information. When did you see it? Yesterday? Day before yesterday? 2 years back? 20 years back? Therefore, it's considered incorrect, Karan. If you say, I saw a movie 2 years back, correct. I saw a movie yesterday, correct. I saw a movie in the morning, correct. Okay? So, in statement 1, last year means action started and ended last year. Yes. Only last year means started and ended last year. Absolutely, Rajavi. Vartika, you want me to repeat the previous slide. Okay, just give me a moment. Very quickly, I'll do that. If you look at the previous slide, guys, just look at this slide. If you simply say last year, it does not include today. So, since it does not include today, it does not include now, it's got nothing to do with now, we do not use the present perfect. The moment you add this in the last year, you are saying including today. So, I have to use the present perfect because I'm including today. Vartika, clear? Yes, Vartika? Simple past always comes with a past time marker, with a reference. It can be an event that you're referring to. It can also be a time marker. Well, you should stick to the official book lingo, but sometimes the official book explanations aren't good, honestly. Okay? They aren't good. It's very, very difficult to understand what predication means. All right. It took me quite some time to understand predication means the modifiers. So official books are very good for looking up the questions. All right. But for, let's say, understanding concepts, the logic behind the concepts, understanding how to decipher the intended meaning, I mean, honestly, the official book is not good enough. All right. You can, in fact, try out, Lingar, the free trial version of GMAT Viz to get an idea of, how we go about teaching you the concepts. All right. Let me now take you to the question quickly. I'm sure you guys are impatient. Here's the question. All right, guys. I'm going to do a quick countdown of 10. So I'm going to also be a little quick about with explaining this sentence because I want to solve one more question with you. All right. And that's a really good question. So here goes 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, I think I can see this is stopped. So I'm going to end the poll. Now, in this case, so 7% each for A and C, none for B, 82% of you have marked D. Well, I don't know whether that's the correct answer or not. This time I'm not going to say right away. And E is 3%. Okay. Let me quickly move to the explanation so that we are able to get all of you to your dinner table as soon as. Now, when you look at this sentence, the history of sorghum, the subject is the history because of sorghum is telling me something about whose history. I don't know what sorghum is, let's say, for the moment. Okay, the history of something, of X. Okay, let me read on. From its original domesticated state to today's domesticated cereal. Now this it's, okay, now we can't domesticate history. So what is domesticated? Clearly it has to refer to this thing called sorghum. All right. So this it's is referring to sorghum. And if the sentence is it's today's domesticated cereal state, then this sorghum is probably a cereal. So this is how the context is telling me. This can actually be used effectively in RC also. Sorry guys, I think the power cord got disconnected. The history of sorghum from its original domesticated state to today's domesticated cereal. Okay, so we're talking from the past till today. When you say original domesticated state, domesticated is not a verb here. It's a modifier for sorghum. Today's domesticated cereal is also a modifier for sorghum, but it's giving me a reference point that we're talking about the history that started in the past and continues till today. All right. So let's see what happened to this history. Because from till here is basically giving me information about sorghum. This is a modifier for sorghum. Anushka, if you're there, modifier means it's an adjective phrase for sorghum. All right. Was found to be. Now, was found is incorrect, right? Because if I'm going to say from the past till the present, then this is incorrect. This should be present perfect. This should be present perfect. So, has been found to be heavily influenced by human action. All right. We know that since this is from the past to the present, was found, which is only about the past, is incorrect. But we have understood that we're talking about the history of sorghum as it was in the past and as it continues to be today, the whole span. And this history has been found to be heavily impacted by human action. Let's read further. And so, and here is a connector. And then there's a conditional. If they continue. Now, they is referring to who? I don't have any antecedent for they, right? Do I? Do I have any plural noun to which this they can really logically refer to? See, the word human here is an adjective. Let me write it. For action. It's not a noun. So we can't use they for human. All right. In any case, if I wanted to use they, I should have had a word called humans. All right. I can't use human, the word human in the plural sense as such. So if they properly here, we need some reference to a person or persons. Somebody, they continue to treat the plant. Okay, so sorghum is a cereal plant, and therefore this they should refer to probably somebody who grows the plant or some such person. If this person continue to treat the plant as they currently do, okay, so it needs to remain they. And here, if currently do this, so if, now here the if conditional is also being tested. You have a simple present here, continue. Okay, so you should also have a simple present at least here. This is fine. So if these people continue to treat the plant as they currently do, the degradation of the crop might just continue. Unabated means not without stopping. So what I'm trying to say is the history of sorghum has been found to be greatly influenced by human action. This influence has been present from the crop's past state of domestication to its current state as a domesticated cereal. If the farmers or humans or agriculturalists or whoever continue to treat the crop as they do at present, then the degradation of the crop might go on taking place. So that's the meaning of this sentence. I think most of you have got it right. So A is incorrect. Okay. This was found is incorrect here. This they is incorrect. Absolutely. If I go to B, has been found to be fine. Okay. But human action, so this they is incorrect. Moreover, continued is also incorrect. You're using simple past, whereas the then clause, this one, actually has a simple present. You can't do this. For this, you'll have to go and study your conditionals. So if you say, if they continue as they, if they continue to treat the plant as they do, so simple present, simple present. If you use if they continued, then you would have to have a would in the then clause. Then the correct, restructuring would be if they continue to treat the plant as they currently do. To nahi ho sakta. It cannot be as they currently did. That also won't work because currently did nahi, it can't be. So as they did. All right. However, that would fit with the meaning of the sentence. So the conditionals some other time, but B is definitely incorrect. Come to C. Some of you have marked, I think, C as the answer also. See, you are saying the history was found to be heavily. Here we are saying the history has found. Now, history has found implies history is somebody or something that has found something. So clearly, history has been found by somebody who is studying history. That's correct. But history itself has not found anything. Okay. So this is incorrect. C is incorrect. D has been found, okay, to be heavily influenced by human action, and if farmers continue to treat plants, so D is definitely correct, and most of you have got this right also. Let's see what's wrong with E. We are saying history of sorghum is found. Now, simple present tense is used to denote something which is always in the simple present tense. This is not telling us that we are talking about something that started in the past and continues till now, sorry. So this aspect is not being covered by this simple present, is found. If you say history from original till now is found, it makes sense for now, but from the past is found is incorrect. So E is incorrect. Although that's probably the closest most of. Yeah. So most of you have got that right, 82% of you. Yes, Sajal, because of today. Sudeep, don't worry. Gradually you inculcate the intended meaning approach to an extent where you work within the timer. Don't worry. Will continue if so. 1 second. And we never use will in the if clause, Rajavi. Okay, we never say if they will continue. Okay, we never use will with the if clause. The will always be used with the then clause. Chandan, for basics, I'll honestly tell you, because most of the basic foundation books, that is especially Wren and Martin, it's good. It's too detailed. In fact, I often suggest to a lot of my students, if they have real problem with basics, absolute basics, like, what is the pronoun, or which words can be included in pronouns and that kind of thing, or what is an adverb or what is an adjective, very, very basics. I would say just Google. Say, for example, you want to understand adverbs, okay? Just go to Google for practice exercises on adverbs. It'll take you back to the basics, class 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 level. I'm okay with that. I still go back to some of those portions if I ever get stuck anywhere, anything. I mean, I might not get stuck at what is an adverb or something like that. But if I wanted to explore deeper, all right, Chandan, so you do that. Let me quickly bring up the last question, guys. I'm sure, I hope this question is really going to be a good challenge for you. Go ahead. And we end right after this. So the sooner you can solve this, the faster we end of the session once we finish the discussion of this question. All right. I won't share the PPT, Sajal, but I will definitely share the PDF form of this PPT. Okay, so it will be as good as. And the recording of this session, usually I think all the attendees are mailed the link to the recording. So in a couple of days, I think you will get a recording of this session also. Okay, so you can use both the PPT and the recording. Rajavi, is that clear, the will thing that you asked for? Let me quickly get on with the explanation of this. Now, if you look at this sentence, I don't know, okay. The conflict faded from popular memory. Now, faded is in the simple past, right? All right. I'm now going to wait for a reference point of this simple past. The conflict means we're talking about some particular conflict, but I don't know which conflict. The conflict faded from popular memory, okay. Within 15 years of the end of the US-Mexico war. Now, look at this. If I draw a timeline, let's say I'm drawing a timeline, okay. This is something what you can do also. Let's say the end of the US-Mexico war is one event, all right? So let's say this is where this happened, end. Within 15 years of the end means this is 15 years mark. So means before that, right? Before when we say within, we are saying, remember what I taught you just a while back. Within 15 years means not something that includes now, all right? Okay, something that, sorry, what am I saying? We are basically saying before 15 years ended. So within 15 years of the end of. So 15 years is one mark. End of the war is another mark. The conflict, now the fading of the conflict happened here, right? So this, if I take this as simple past, the end of the conflict. Sorry. If this is taken as simple past, okay, then this is happening afterwards, right? That means after the second event, this is going to be in the simple past. This is the simple past, event 2. So this fading must have happened before that ended. So this is in the past perfect, which is event 1. So here your event 2 is the end of the US-Mexico war. Sorry, the end of the US-Mexico war happened first. Okay, so this is one reference point. It's past. Within 15 years of that, so 15 before the 15 years ended, before 15 years ended, what happened? I want to show before 15 years ended, which is why I have to use had faded here. Okay, so this event 2, this is event 2. All right. Oh, I'm so sorry. This is not event 2. My bad. My bad. This is event 2. Within 15 years is event 2. Within 15 years is like saying before 15 years was over. And this becomes your event 1. So I'll repeat. On the timeline, you have the past, end of US-Mexico War. Let's say this took place in 1700. It ended. Okay. Then before 1715, let's say before 1715, when you say within 15 years, obviously the 15 years was not over. Okay. So within 15 years means before 15 years ended. So before 15 years ended is one event. What happened before that? The memory had faded, over and done with. All right. So that's the error there. Faded is incorrect. But it has not disappeared because of the outbreak of the US Civil War in 1861. So clearly in 1861, something happened. And because of this, has not disappeared. Now, we don't know if the memory is still there because nothing there in the sentence. But we do know that it disappeared because of what this happened. So simple, but it did not disappear. Simple past. Okay, because I don't have to give any reference for that. The reference point is 1861. So what I'm saying is US-Mexico conflict ended in the past, but before 15 years had gone by, after the end of the US-Mexico conflict, its memory had faded. So look at this. Before, because this is not understood if I don't use had faded, right? Had faded means before 15 years was over, the memory was done and over with. However, its memory did not go away completely. Why it did not go away completely? Because another war took place in 1861. All right. I also have another issue with this question. See, the conflict had faded. Now, which conflict? Is it the US-Mexico war or is it some other conflict which is related to the US-Mexico war or somehow? It's not clear, right? Which conflict are we talking about? Guys, so far, are we clear? So if I look at the polls, 16% of you marked A, 8% of you marked B, 60% of you have marked C, 4% D, and 12% E. So mostly it's between kind of A, C, if A can be said to be the closest, and even to a certain extent E. Let me reset the poll and ask you guys, are you clear with this? Sajal, I can't share this PPT straight away. I'll share the PDF and the recording of this session. You can get that as I've told you earlier. All right. Guys, is this clear? Okay, wonderful. So you can use a timeline. I do this a lot if I'm confused. So let's go to the answer choice. This is incorrect. As I said, not clear whether the conflict is the same as this because it could be a different conflict. All right. We mentioned the only when we have already mentioned the noun, particular noun earlier. Like if I say, I have bought an apple, the apple is red, then the is referring to the first apple that I brought. Okay. If I say the apple is, I have bought the apple, and then if I say an apple is red, not connecting, right? So in A, this is also a little bit of a question mark for me, but mostly the faded is wrong here, okay? And has not disappeared, present perfect is also incorrect because there is no inkling that it is related to the present. Also, we have a specific past time marker. Let's move to B. The conflict has faded. Now, this is totally incorrect. But it has not disappeared. All of it is in present perfect, but there is no indication of anything being related to the present. Okay? And here there's a change again. You're saying outbreak of the US Civil War in 1861 within 15 years of the end of. This means the outbreak of the US Civil War took place within 15 years. So totally distorted. C, within 15 years of the end of US-Mexico war. Okay, now, so we are being told what happened before the end of US-Mexico war. The conflict. Now, the moment you have already mentioned US-Mexico war, the clearly refers to this. So this is fine. Had faded. Great. When you say uh, before the end of 15 years, obviously the conflict had faded has to happen before the end of 15 years. Great, this is correct. But it did not disappear because of the war in 1861. C is correct. Majority of you got that right. And I just hope you got it right for the right reasons, guys. D, we are saying within 15 years of US-Mexico wars end. I don't like this. Okay. Moreover, the conflict should refer to a noun, but if you say wars end, you don't have a noun, you have a possessive case. Although you have had faded here. So this is fine, but this cannot refer to Mexico's wars. Wars is not the same as war. I can use the conflict for war. I cannot use wars and then say the conflict. Had not here is incorrect. Okay. So D is out. E, some of you mark this. The conflict has not disappeared. Why am I using it? Has faded from popular memory. How can the two things happen at the same time? Okay, it can, but all right. So it's not completely gone. It has faded because of the outbreak of the US Civil War. Again, US Civil War took place in 1861 within 15 years of the end of US-Mexico War. Totally different meaning altogether. Okay, so E is incorrect. Guys, I hope that's absolutely clear. Anubhav, apostrophe is incorrect. That's not the point. Apostrophe is used to show the belonging. If you want to use a pronoun, you have to have a noun, not a possessive noun. So a noun would have been US-Mexican War. US-Mexico War, not wars. Wars means belonging to the war. Within, we use simple past. So automatically when you say within 15 years, it means before the end of 15 years. So that is the simple past event. You're welcome, Karan. Would love to have feedback from the others as well, guys. I'm just going to start sharing the PPT. But before that, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Let me just quickly bring up a poll, guys. You know, it would be lovely to have your rating for this session. The highest that you could give would be 10, and then I'm going to give you other. Let me just do this and let me start sharing the PDF. Any other feedback that you think will help me improve my session so that I can help you better, please feel free to do that. And I'm also going to, just give me a moment. There is the rating, if you can give this, and let me, so I'm just starting to share the PDF. You can see that in the file thumbnail on the left hand side of your chat box. Wow, Rahman, thank you so much. You're most welcome, Annie. Very nice to know that. Okay, Harsha is asking why not B. Yes, Rahman, it is me who speaks in the actual course as well. Just a minute, why not B? So let's look at B very, very quickly. We are saying the conflict has faded. That means we are saying the fading started in the past and it's still continuing in the present. And then you're saying it has not disappeared, which means it's the disappearing started in the past and it's still continuing. So that itself doesn't make sense. Then you're saying because of the outbreak of the US Civil War in 1861, so far so good. But then when you say within 15 years, then what happened within 15 years of the end of US-Mexico War? This war started. Is that the original intention of the sentence? See what happened within the 15 years of this. Okay, so definitely B is incorrect. So, well, the sharing of the PDF earlier might take away a little bit of the interest. So, fun so far. That is why we don't share it. Sorry to have made you wait for so long, but I hope the session did help you. You're most welcome, Rahman. Now you're making me blush. If I could blush, with this color, definitely not. But thank you so much. Very glad that it helped you. You're welcome, Rajavi. Wonderful that your concepts got cleared. So within is not a comparison exactly, Sudeep. Within basically tells me inside a certain, let's say, circle, before something. All right. You're welcome, Dilip. So nice. Thank you, all of you. Harsha, I hope that B is clear. You're most welcome, Annie, Chandan. Anushka, how long do you think the timeline is going to take you? See, the timeline is going to be used. I mean, you are not going to write so much of stuff. You just draw some dots and understand. I wrote it for the understanding, for your understanding. You're welcome, Pooja, Harsha, everybody. Well, we have upcoming sessions. So every Friday at this time, we'll be holding webinars, all right? And it will be on some topic or the other. You will be getting notifications, I'm sure of that, all right? But next week, I think there would be some session definitely right away. I don't know. I think it's going to be most likely a session on CR. I think so. See, Rahman is sharing with us that the process keeps taking less time. See? So if you're worried, Rajavi, as you were saying, don't worry. When the process becomes ingrained, you take less and less and less time. Let me share some links with you guys. Just give me a moment. So these links are, I'll tell you what these links are, okay? First of all, I'll be sharing with you a link to the, let it come up first, okay? Yeah. So here is a link for free trial version of our course, okay? And then here, if you want to talk to Piyush, who is our expert on strategy, you can book a call, a free call. It's free of cost. You can discuss your strategy and any other questions that you have with Piyush. He himself is a 740 scorer on the GMAT. So you can use that link to book a call with him. All right, and let me just see if I do have any other links to share with you. Okay. Oh, by the way, if you guys are interested in any crash course, I'm going to start a crash course on 5th of June. All right. So that crash course is usually a 25 session thing. So in that 25 sessions, we will be working on different areas. All right, guys. You will have a 25 sessions on verbal and quant, both. Of course, you'll get 4-month access to the course as well, apart from the 25 sessions with me. All 25 sessions won't be with me. 12 will be with me, and I think 12 with Saket, the quant expert, and 1 with Piyush. So great interaction, guys. Sorry if there were any mishaps during the way, and see you again next Friday. I hope you guys were able to download the session PDF, all of you. Any other questions you have, guys? Please. So, Rahman, I am not taking the current crash course. Which one did you enroll for? I am already taking a crash course. It started on 24th of April. Then a crash course started. After that, I will again be taking a crash course, which will start on 5th of June. Great. So now you guys can go and have your, so I'm not conducting the one that started on 15th, Rahman. I am, because I was already taking the one that started earlier, and then I'm going to again take the one that starts from June. Don't worry, nothing different. The content is not different. and the content has been designed by me, so don't worry about that. You will get the same content. Okay. Shreyash is also a very, very good verbal expert. Wonderful, guys. So I hope you have got the links and everything else that you needed. No problem, Rahman. I'm always there if you want to reach out. I'm there during these webinars. You can always come down here and attend these also. Most welcome. All right, guys. A very warm good night to all of you for whom it's night, and have a very good day, very fruitful day if it's just the starting of a day. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye. You're welcome, Rahman. Good night.